Hi, I'm Maia Beatrice and welcome back to my channel, or hello if you are new. So as you've probably read by the title, I'm going to be talking about what it's like buying my first car at just 19. So as you all probably guessed, I passed my test. I passed it about 2 weeks ago now and got a car pretty much a week after. So I was quite lucky to find a car, but I'm going to talk about all that later on in the video. So I'm going to be talking about what it was like having lessons, how to buy a car, how I managed to buy a car at 19, and just kind of everything to do with getting the car. So as a lot of people tend to be when they turn 17 in the UK, we get excited about being able to have driving lessons, being able to get a driver's license and kind of have our own freedom and buying our own car. So I started having lessons when I was about 17, and at this point I only had a Saturday job, so I was earning like £30 a week, if that, and yeah, so I only had a Saturday job and I very quickly ran out of money because lessons are quite expensive if you have them with like a driving instructor. So I ran out of money very quickly, so unfortunately I had to stop having driving lessons. Then when I turned 18, I got myself a full-time job after I left college and was able to start up lessons again, and I started them in about February this year. And obviously we went into lockdown in the March, so I only had a few lessons then and had to stop my lessons again because of lockdown, and obviously we weren't allowed to do driving lessons. So then after lockdown I started lessons again, and I don't know if anyone who is driving or if anyone knows about it, but basically because of lockdown there was a big backlog of driving tests and you had to wait in massive queues to book driving tests. So I got up every Monday morning at 8 o'clock sitting in these queues, and I think for about 3 weeks I couldn't get anywhere. I got to the end of the queue, and by the time I'd got to the end of the queue there was no tests available, and I was sat on these queues for hours. And then one day I got on and I got through quite quickly. I must have been put further up in the queue, and I managed to book a driving test, and it was for the 22nd of October. So I started my lessons up again after lockdown, managed to book a test in. So then it was kind of getting a bit nerve-wracking because obviously I had my test coming up. It was a bit scary, but I had a really lovely instructor and he kind of like calmed me down and was like, you know, you'll be fine, you're gonna pass, it's gonna be okay, and he really had a lot of faith in me, which was really lovely. So then it came round to the test day and my mum gave me her lucky jumper which she wore when she passed her test, and clearly it worked for me as well because I passed my test too. And just a few like tips and tricks for like passing your test, helping to pass your test. They start off with a tell me question, which you can find on YouTube, very easy. They're like a 4-minute video. Just watch that, get the information in your head, and they're quite easy questions. But yeah, just watch them videos if you're going to have a test and get yourself well known with the questions. They literally give you every question that's going to come up, and they'll only give you one question on the test. So it might be like, oh, how can you test if your brake lights are working, and things like that. They're quite easy questions, but just make sure you get yourself used to that, because if you get that question right at the start, it kind of sets a good tone for the rest of the test. So obviously because of coronavirus the tests are a little bit different. We have to wear our masks at all times, which is very weird driving with a mask on. The window's open so it's a little bit nippy, but make sure you just wrap up. And yeah, it's, you know, they get in your car and they tell you where to go, and I had sat-nav driving first for the first 20 minutes of the test, so I literally just had to follow where the sat-nav was telling me to go. So and then the last 20 minutes of the test was the driving instructor telling me where to go and, you know, giving me directions. So I managed to pass my test, and I think you're allowed 13 minors, I think it is, and I only got 6 minors, which is obviously really good, and I'm quite proud of myself for that. So yeah, I passed my test with 6 minors. Then obviously as soon as I passed my test I just wanted to buy a car. That's all I wanted to do, was just get a car. And I know some people just want to pass the test so that they've got a driver's license, but I really just wanted to get a car and get driving on my own. So this was the hardest point of like buying a car and like getting my car and my license and whatever. It was finding a car that I really wanted and not just buying a car for the sake of just buying a car, like any car off the street. So I kind of knew from when I first started having lessons that I was definitely going to buy a car as soon as I'd passed my test. So I kind of started saving up right from the beginning of me starting work, which really helped because I'm going to tell you this now, the insurance for cars and like for a first time driver is so expensive, like so expensive. And obviously buying the cars tend to be expensive anyway, but yeah, it's going to be pricey. So me and my mum sat down for a long time and we started like looking at different cars, putting their details into the insurance company to see which actually had the cheapest insurance and which car would be the cheapest to insure. So we narrowed it down to a few, but once we'd actually like looked properly into them cars, it all depends on like, basically it depends on the engine size and the year of the car. So the higher the engine size, the more expensive your car's going to be. It's as simple as that. And the newer your car, the more expensive the insurance is going to be. So the first car that I had my eye on was a Renault Twingo, which is quite a little car. I knew that I wanted a little car, I didn't want anything big. It literally is just to get me from A to B, and I mean, I'm kind of small as it is, so I didn't want a big car because I don't think I'd be able to handle a big car yet. And so I just wanted a tiny little thing. So we saw this Renault Twingo and I think it was about 1,700 for the car, and then the insurance was like 1,300-ish. So it was quite pricey, but I was kind of like, oh, it's a nice car, I'm willing to pay that. But in the end I ended up not getting it, like things went wrong and it just kind of wasn't meant to be with that car. So then we went back to looking at more cars, more insurance quotes, just seeing what we can do. And we were also looking at the tax for cars. So like for that Renault Twingo, I think it was like £120 for the tax for the whole year. So it was, you know, more on the pricey side of tax, and yeah, we just kind of didn't want to. We were looking for a cheaper one, let's put it that way. So then we started looking at more cars, and we were kind of looking around a 2008 car because I didn't want one too new, I didn't want one too old. I wanted somewhere in the middle ground that wasn't going to be too expensive, and we were looking at like a 1 litre engine to a 1.2 litre engine. So then we came across this beautiful car, if I do say so myself, which is the car I ended up getting, which is a Citroen C1, which I'll insert like a picture or a little video clip now of the car itself. You can see it's a really nice blue colour. It's actually a 2011 plate, which is, you know, kind of a newish car, a newish for me considering I was looking at 2008 cars, and it's a 1 litre engine, so it's, you know, it's an alright size. It has got an injection on it, so it's a little bit like faster than a normal 1 litre engine, but still it's, you know, it's a cheaper insurance because it's a 1 litre engine. So because I'd managed to save up, because I knew that I wanted a car, I'd saved all my money for like to be able to buy a car basically. The insurance on it was, well, we put the insurance through and we put it for the insurance to go on for like the 5th of November or something, and it was like £900 insurance, and we were like, that's good, because normally they're like way over the grand mark. And then we changed the insurance to the day that I was getting the car, and it went up like 200 quid. So it was just over £1,000 for the insurance, but like I said, I'd saved up the money to be able to buy the car and pay for the insurance and everything, so that was good. And the Citroen C1 road tax was actually only £20. So like the Renault Twingo was like 130, whereas this one was just 20. So it was all round a better and cheaper car actually. and yeah, it's very nice. So as you can see from the pictures and the video, or if you can't make it out, I'll just say it's a very small car, which obviously is the type of car that I was wanting. I just wanted a small little car to be able to get me around, and that I can like easily get into like car park spaces and that. And yeah, I genuinely really love the car. If any of you are wondering, I've named the car Freddie because apparently you have to name your first car. Apparently people name all the cars, but it was my driving instructor told me it was especially important to name my first car. So it's called Freddie, and yeah, he gets me around everywhere. Now I'm just going to quickly briefly talk about the first time driving on my own. So when I first got in the car, it was like when I was doing my driving lessons, it was obviously like a newer car. I think it was maybe a 2019 car, a 2020 car. So like it had all the high-tech stuff. It didn't even have a key. It literally was a card that you put in rather than the key that you turn. And obviously I bought a 2011 car, so it was a lot different to the car that I'd been learning in. So it was a lot harder to kind of get it started and like get it running and whatever. And I remember the first trip I literally just went around my block, and my mum was with me. She sat in the car next to me. I've never seen my mum so terrified in her life. But once we set off, she'd calmed down. She realised that I actually could drive. I think the thought of her daughter driving her around instead of her driving her daughter was a little bit scary at first, but I think she soon realised that actually I can drive. But yeah, the first time going on a proper trip, I went to see my boyfriend, and he lives about 10 minutes away from me, and it was a scary experience, let's put it that way. It was quite nerve-wracking, but also like really, really fun. Like I loved it. I was having a great time, and I've been for a few trips now in the car, and it's like I've been driving it a lot. Like it doesn't feel like it's a new car to me anymore. It's great. I've got used to it very quickly, which is good, and yeah, I just kind of I really enjoy driving, so it doesn't scare me. I'm not like I don't want to drive. I absolutely love driving. I've been begging my mum like every day. I'm like, oh mum, do you need something from the shops or anything, just because I want to go out and drive. So yeah, I really enjoy driving. But yeah, I think the first time you actually drive on your own without an instructor being there is quite nerve-wracking. Because obviously when you have the instructor there, you know that they can stop the car, they have dual control, it's great, you know, if you go wrong they're there to look after you, whereas when you're on your own, obviously you got none of that. But I would say if you're getting a new car, just take it for a drive around just literally the streets where you live first, so that you get used to the car and how it works, and then go for a trip out somewhere. So that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. I hope some of that was useful, or you know, you just enjoyed hearing about how I bought my first car or anything. Let me know in the comments if you did find any of it useful, or if you want to know anything else about buying a car that I might have missed out in the video. Just comment down below any questions and I will happily let you know. So thank you again for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, don't forget to do that, and don't forget to hit the like button as well. So yeah, thank you again for watching. I hope to see you soon. Bye!